and the Bucks play today, but he would rather be here with us. Louie, thank you. Thank you for hanging out with us this morning.
That's exactly what happened. It has nothing to do with the fact that it's 40-mile-per-hour winds outside. It was possibly going to rain when we first talked about this. Has nothing to do with that. It is only because I would rather be, the Bills thing in the legend of the game. At the start of every game says, where would you rather be than right here, right now? Because that's Marv Levy's. Where would I rather be than right here, right now with you, Stace? So I'm happy to be here with you.
Yes. Well, again, thank you so much for hanging out. Also, I want to say a big thank you. Last week, I was not able to be here. So I want to shout out to Nerdboy, Huncho, Rocco, from coming over, jumping in, helping out, doing the tailgate last week. Appreciate you guys so much for doing that and keeping us going so we didn't have to miss a week. You guys are the best. And appreciate you all so much. Everybody who's watching, thanks for hanging out as well. Throw your start sit questions in the comments. We're going to get to those as they go. But as always, we're going to go through the, I guess we've got the 9:30 action right now. There's not much of it going on with the Commanders and the Dolphins. We're going to talk about that. They're at halftime. We're going to go through our starts, our sits, who we love, who we hate this week. We're going to talk some storylines. We've got some injury things to report on as that, last minute news around 11:30 starts hitting. We're going to throw those in as well. So, hang out with us till noon. Then we're going to get you ready for your Sunday afternoon action, week 11. It's a big week for a lot of leagues. This is kind of, if you're playing in those big tournaments, this is kind of like a make it break it kind of week. You're going to get ready to move on to your tournaments in the next week or so. Like, if you're in regular leagues, too, that don't kind of have the tournament aspect to it, you've got to try to make that last playoff push. So it's a really important week for everybody. Louie, how are you doing? You're setting you're probably simultaneously setting 100+ lineups right now.
I really, so two things. I knew I had this, and I knew I'm going to watch the Bills game somewhere after this, right after we get done. So I did really good. I don't think that there's much injury news here to be aware of, but I did in my morning going through the hundreds of lineups that I've already filled. Just that second, because you got to look at it. You got to look at them on Sunday morning just to confirm that you weren't really high on Saturday night when you were doing it. Sometimes that happens. And this morning, I feel like, and we mentioned this kind of in text, I'm sure we'll talk about it a little bit later, but these weather concerns have kind of shaken me a little bit this morning and changed a few of my things. So yeah, it's a huge week. And I think with all the injuries that are out there and some interesting spots, I think I got some hot takes here to talk about. So
little did you all know, we are also weather reporters here. So you're going to get our weather analysis in addition to the fantasy football analysis too. Maureen, thanks for hanging out this morning. Jonathan has a question for us. He wants to know, starting off hot, are we going to do Joe Flacco or Patrick Mahomes? Who would we start?
Right now, I mean, if you ask this Wednesday again without the thought process on the weather, I probably would have leaned Flacco. That over under is high. I don't love the Mahomes matchup against Denver. I think that's going to be actually a low scoring game. I've talked about that on my podcast on Wednesday. I think that's going to be more of a defensive battle than people expect. I don't love this decision. I'm probably going Mahomes here because with the 30-40 mile per hour winds in Pittsburgh, I just don't see Flacco being able to have the arm strength to really have a huge day. But that over under stayed big. It's not going down a lot with the weather. So someone is scoring there. I would be a little bit hesitant with Flacco right now.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, at first glance, you're thinking this is going to be a great matchup. I want to say is it one of the highest? I think the line is at 48.5. I don't know if that's changed since last night or not with the weather, but two not so great defenses, since he's got, Jamar Chase there, you've got Higgins. But yeah, I mean, with that weather, it's not really an exciting prospect there. So Mahomes?
Yeah, I'm Mahomes. It's 48. It started up at 48 and a half, and it's actually, it opened at 46 and a half. It's at 48 and a half, and it has not come down. The last 2 days is usually when you'll see like some effects on the line because of the weather, because people get more tuned into it.
Yeah.
It's staying there. So I'd say Mahomes, but I say Mahomes like very begrudgingly there.
Yeah, that's a tough one too when you're putting it with Mahomes, because you've got Denver. The Denver and the KC defenses are so close together. I was looking at them last night when I was trying to figure out who am I going to start, who am I going to sit, those kind of things. And looking through it, and they're so much closer than you would necessarily think right off the bat. I want to say where I found some. I gotta find it. I had some.
I want to say
numbers here.
I want to say they're both top 12 against the pass, and it might even be better than that. So like, I know we'll be talking about some of this, but Knicks is like definitely a sit for me, but even Mahomes is like go in with lesser expectations.
Yes.
But
absolutely.
It's hard to sit Mahomes with the year he's having.
There we go. There was the number I was looking for. Yeah, like the Chiefs are only giving up. Oh, that's I'm looking at offense. I was like, why are those numbers so high? I need to switch it over to the defensive numbers I'm over on Next Gen Stats. Over here. That's one of my favorite sites. There it is. Okay. So as far as passing yards, per game, we've got the Broncos are giving up 179.5. The Kansas City Chiefs right under that at 187.2. So they are 6th overall and 7th overall for fewest passing yards allowed. So that's not super exciting if you've got either one of those quarterbacks.
Yeah, Chiefs are 7th against the QB. Broncos are 2nd against fantasy QBs. So like, man, that's a tough call. And I know we're going to get a lot more of these, so maybe I shouldn't be making this point so early. But this is like a week where, especially like you said, this is a big important week. Mm-hmm. Take your chances on flyers. Like I think Davis Mills is a guy that I would probably start over both those guys this week.
Number one QB in fantasy last week.
And not for nothing, if you listen to Analytics or for the Nerds, Louie G called that. I want to just talk about successes, but I seriously, I think that there's guys here in with 5 or 6 games with like weather issues. Sam Darnold's is really Purdy's in a really great spot today. Those are all guys that like are kind of at the back of most people's rankings that I'd be looking at to start over some of the guys that have been really, really good so far.
Absolutely. And everybody, I again appreciate everybody watching online, YouTube, X. Lou and I are actually both doing a TikTok live right now, so that is streaming. If you hang out there, hello to all of our people that are watching on TikTok, you can throw your comments in here and try to see those, or you can jump on over to the YouTube channel and get the questions in there. So let's try something new this week, see how it goes. So glad that everybody's hanging out with us this beautiful Sunday morning. It's only 71 here in Tampa, so I really can't relate with any of the weather problems right now, unfortunately. So it got really cold here, Lou. I just wanted you to know it got really cold here this week. It was 36 degrees one morning.
I hate you. Okay. I hate you. And I really don't like saying that because since I've met you, I've been a huge fan. But if you ever complain about 36 degrees again, my whole, besides fantasy football, the rest of my income is based off of weather. I own a home improvement company. And last week it snowed for 3 straight days. So I do not want to hear that you woke up a little chilly one morning.
I know. I had to go grab. I was like, I've got 5 outfits that are like cold weather outfits, and I was like, oh, what am I going to wear today?
You have to like go into the basement to get your. I hate that. I hate everything about that. I really do.
I'm like, oh, I get to wear my boots today for the one time a year I get to wear them. Yeah.
That's so funny.
All right. Well, we got some more QB questions. Let's just hit those real quick because there's actually one that I kind of want to talk about that I'm super excited. I really wish that it's Jameis. I really, really wish that Jameis was starting against someone other than my Packers this week because I honestly have a bad feeling about this game. I feel like it's a little bit of a trap. And I just want to root for Jameis. Like, I think fantasy football is more fun when Jameis is starting and when he's winning. I just don't want him to win today. But man, I am pumped for him to start. Would we start Aaron Rodgers or would you start famous Jameis?
Man, I just want to share that with you, that sentiment, because not just fantasy, the NFL is just better when Jameis Winston is playing quarterback, and I absolutely love that he's getting this opportunity. I absolutely hate the spot against your Packers defense, and 40-mile-per-hour winds is not going to help Jameis Winston not turn the ball over.
Do you know what the over-under on his interceptions is?
What is it?
It's 0.5, and I'm like, that's so low. Come on.
So you texted me that today, and I I thought it might be an error on your, but so I that's why I asked you to say, because that seems, I mean, it has to be juiced so high towards the yes on that, but yeah, I would bet that pretty hard that it's gonna happen. But and it just sucks, right? Because how much would you have wanted to see like Neighbors and Scatta, like have them come into like this offense when it was clicking? I mean, now he's got Wan'Dale Robinson and Isaiah Hodgins and the corpse of Jalen Hyatt. So I don't love his outlook. We just talked about that Pittsburgh Cincy game having a really high over-under with two quarterbacks with, dead arms in Rodgers and Flacco. But the over-under staying there, I would be Rodgers, I think, over Jameis, as much as it pains me to say that.
Yeah, I think you could probably start Jameis in like a super flex, but I would be a little scared to start him as my number one overall if I'm just in a single QB league.
Personality-wise, like my favorite NFL player and my least favorite NFL player, but we will. I would still have to eat my standards and go with Rodgers there.
Yeah, I think you got to go with Rodgers. So I like I said, I'm a little afraid for my Packers today. Like I saw Jameis's post where he was like walking through the tunnel and he posted like a verse from Proverbs, and I was like, we're gonna get eaten alive today. Like that's about to happen.
It's aura, man. It's aura. It is juiced high. I do want to clarify, just like, at least in DraftKings, for one interception, he's minus 225. So, it's still, the expectations are he'll still send it. I love that. I love that he just said, I'm starting Jameis no matter what you say, because vibes, dude. I am 100% here for the vibes, and I'm fine with that.
Well, how about Jared Goff playing Sunday night against Philly, or Justin Herbert, who gets a nice matchup against the Jags?
It's Herbert, and like by a lot there. I'm not thinking twice about that. I hate this matchup for Goff. No Laporta. Philly's a tough D. No, and Herbert.
In Philly.
And like you said, like that matchup against the Jags, I think they're 31st against the pass. Herbert's going to eat. That's pretty easy for me.
Yeah. Yep. Herbert all day. We got C-Rod drinking JCM's milkshake. He's gotten 2 touchdowns the last 2 weeks in a row. I hate everything about that backfield. I hate everything about it. I think it's gross. I don't want to have to start any of them. I don't know what the numbers are right now. I can pull that up and see, but gross.
It's not. It was all Rodriguez early. I think Bills got in a little bit. So Rodriguez is 13 for 77, and JCM is 3 for 6. So that will tell you where that's going. And we all got caught up on the Bill train. And whatever. Sometimes misses or misses. You gotta bet opportunity, but I do think it's pretty clear that he's not the one there, and I think you'll see a lot more of Rodriguez for the rest of the year. And he's kind of like he was somebody I attacked this week in these higher stakes leagues as a possible league winner.
Oh yeah. The only use for Jeremy McNichols, he's got one target in the passing game. That's it. So not looking great there. If you wanted to know what's going on with Miami, they've got 2 field goals, once in the first quarter, once in the second quarter. Woof. Yeah. Gosh, Miami, that's terrible. All right, guys, we got Huncho hanging out here. Thanks, Huncho. Thanks again for hopefully you were here earlier, but thanks again for hosting last week. Harvey or Swift? I'm so glad that you brought this up because I wanted to talk about Harvey a little bit, right? So J.K. Dobbins goes on IR this week. Do we believe all of the Sean Payton talk about, oh, he's going to get so many more opportunities? Because quite frankly, I don't believe a word out of that man's mouth when it comes to fantasy at all. So I really expect something that's going to be more like a Jaleel McLaughlin gets more time, Tyler Batty, Bidet. I don't know how you say that man's name. If I were him, I would go with Batty because that sounds
I don't think you I don't think you want to go as the ass cleaner.
But, no. Sure. I hear people saying it that way, and I'm like, no, that's I'm refusing to say that. So I just feel like there's going to be way more of that. That's just going to be really uncomfortable for the Harvey owners, I think. So I got to go with Swift, I think, in this one, even though he's banged up.
I really share your sentiment with Peyton. You have to be a little bit nervous there. The only reason why I'm gonna say Harvey here, and Benjamin Albright, I will say I never really follow him either too much. He seems to be throwing things out, but he really believes McLaughlin. Well, thank you. You guys did that because I know every time I swear, Stacy like cringes a little bit. She's such a nice person, and every time I swear, I can see it in her face that she hates me, but I won't stop. But I appreciate that you guys brought some back in last week. It softens the crowd when I'm here. But I really have trouble believing him too. And like I said, Albright believes in McLaughlin and that gets some carries here, and that Betty, whatever, will just keep the same role. I'm still going to go Harvey only, and it's not so much against the Swift thing because they have a great matchup, and I think he still produces pretty good. But Monagai is like a thing there now, and I think that that's going to take away from Swift, and maybe even more so as we get farther into the year. But I think what Johnson's doing there in Chicago is that he's kind of recreating his Gibbs and Montgomery. So there's room for both of them to eat for sure. But scares me a little bit, and I have to go with Harvey in that scenario.
Yeah. All right. So listen, those of you who know me offline, like I do have a sailor mouth a little bit, and my mother told me when I first started doing podcasts, like your language is terrible on those shows. So I have tried to clean it up a little bit. So it does not bother me one bit, but I have tried for the sake of my poor mother to clean up my act slightly. So. Oh man. All right. So we got a little bit of news this morning, and since you are right up in the thick of things up in the Buffalo area, I want to know, what are your thoughts on the Keon Coleman? This isn't a soft benching. This is a hard benching.
Yeah. So I mean, I won't take full credit for it, but I did when Gabe Davis and Hardman got called up yesterday, without knowing that there were some people that I think within the next hour or whatever did say, get some news from the people in the know about Coleman being the one. I was the first one, I think, to say, but like, I think Keon's going to be the guy out here. He did not miss a meeting this week. He has in the past. So the thing with Keon, one, he's not good. And there's two different people in the fantasy world, and it's Keon Coleman, apologist, and there's just people that know football. I have fought and argued with people all season on that. There was a thread going around last week, at least locally in the Buffalo area, of somebody posting 7 different plays that they thought justified that we were misusing him. And it was so insane watching these 7 plays that they're trying to make it seem like he's open. It almost showed that he was worse than I already thought. It was so crazy that it was supposed to be a pro Coleman thing. McDermott does not play. He's not, though. I know you say that's one thing too that people are wrong about. Gabe Davis is a better route runner, built for the outside. Keon should be, if anything, if he's going to work out anywhere, it's not going to be here. But if he works out anywhere, he should be a strong slot. They're trying to put him on the outside. He gets 0 separation. He's got a character issue. He's missed more than just 1 meeting. He's missed about 3 meetings in the last 2 years. Got disciplined each time with either like off a drive. McDermott does not play with this. As someone that's very close to this organization, and he just will not reward that. And there is some real disconnect there. And there's some criticism on Josh right now because, Josh was the one that kind of called Bean during the draft and said, hey, I like this guy. Listen, one, if you're listening to your quarterback as a GM, you should be fired. And 2, this is like Aaron Rodgers vibes. Like, listen, just go play quarterback and shut up. Listen, I love him. Go play quarterback. Don't give your input. Let Brandon Bean do what he wants to do. This was a miss, and it's fine. There's misses at the wide receiver position all the time. This is not shocking at all. People on the national level are treating this like a big shocking news. This was coming for me. I think right now I got a small little thing on Gabe Davis scoring 2 touchdowns today at 60-1, because again, this goes to the stubbornness of McDermott, Josh. These are the type of people, and I just know their personalities. They're going to try to like make a learning lesson for Keon, and it's not just going to be, hey, you're sitting today. It's going to be, oh, and here's the guy that took over for you doing well, and this is what we need you to do. I think they're going to force Gabe the ball as much as they can today. I think he makes an impact.
Well, I mean, that's kind of the player that he is, right? He's either a 2 touchdown, 100 yards, or nothing. Like he's either totally ham or just, invisible.
My biggest thing when Gabe was, before he had all these injuries the last 2 years since he's left Buffalo, was his catching. He catches the ball like a seal. He does this. He brings it in with his hands and never like into his body. So like he's had issues with that. That was like my biggest gripe with him when he was here, but he's a fine number 2. He's had so many injuries over the last 2 years. I don't know what he's got left in the tank, but they're going to try to find out today. I really think so.
I can't wait now when I watch, because that's the game that we're gonna get locally here with, because it's the Bucks. I can't wait to watch him try to catch the ball now. That's gonna be like in my brain, like the seal thing,
Like if he on any kind of like comeback route where like he has to like take it into his body, he tries to do this. I don't know. It's so weird, but yeah, I one time made a whole video of like 15 different like pass attempts and then I put like the seal sounds on the back. I have to find that for maybe later.
Seal bark. Oh my God, that's terrible, but hilarious also. For those of you that were wondering, Washington is up 13-6 over the Dolphins right now. It's about 6 minutes left in the third, although it could be less because famously my TV is so behind my internet and everything. So who knows? It could already be in the fourth quarter at this point. We've got a question here. Degens wants to know Rachaad White today against the Bills or Jameson Williams tonight against Philly. Rachaad White's put up a few stinkers. Like he hasn't gotten over 40 yards in the last 3 weeks. And Sean Tucker just keeps looking better and better and better every single week that we see him. So I don't know. With Laporta out, I think I'm leaning Williams on this one.
It's really hard. That one's a hard question because I'm kind of betting on Rachaad White today a little bit. Yeah. I think the wins hurt Baker more than they do Josh. Josh has a pretty strong arm. He's shown that he's done well in the wins.
Yeah, he's
I
used to it.
don't. I think that Tampa probably will need to focus on the run to try to stay close. But again, this spread was a little bit surprising to me after all the stuff the Bills have gone through recently and the criticism and the how they've looked. So the fact that they're 6-point favorites and it's growing, it's not going the other way. I do think that they handle them pretty easily today. So that doesn't scream a great game for the running game. I'm sorry, I'm talking a lot without giving an answer, but I lean slightly Rachaad White, but I think JMO has that possibility for a big game.
Yeah. Well, and two, I mean, I think too, didn't we hear like a couple weeks ago, Morton is, like, oh, I haven't done right by Williams. I need to get him more involved. And, like, and then now with Laporta, I just feel like, okay, like, let's see, put your money where your mouth is. Let's see if he actually does get more involved.
Yeah. But then he also, like, Morton is lost play calling abilities too. So like, it's what is Campbell going to do with it? I just think this week's a little bit tough matchup. We talked about Goff earlier against Herbert, but man, that's a really tough. I think here's the best way to put it. If you're looking for ceiling, if you're an underdog or something, and you're looking for higher ceiling, I probably start Jameson Williams. If you're a favorite or just kind of looking for a good floor play, I would probably lean Rachaad White.
Yeah. All right. So, okay, real quick, it's a Buffalo question for you. Kincaid is going to be out this game. Does that guarantee us a Dawson Knox touchdown? I feel like every time Kincaid's out, you find Knox in the end zone somehow.
Between the passing game being affected by the wind a little bit and the emergence of Jackson Hawes, the rookie tight end that they've used a lot, even with Kincaid in there, they do a lot of 3 tight end packages and then 2 tight end packages and certain things, but they always have 2 guys out there at least. Where Hawes is he's scored. I think Hawes has more touchdowns than Knox this year, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's 2-1. But Knox has always been big, like you said, when called upon. I think this is going to be exactly what I said, and I think a lot of opportunities are going to go to like Gabe Davis to try to see what he's got. I would probably bet against Knox a big game, and if you really wanted something sneaky to play, I would go Jackson Hawes receiving yards or touchdown.
Ooh, that's fun. All right. Yeah. Well, Hancho throws us a question, and it's like, Hancho, I think you must be reading my show sheet because like your segues here with your questions are so perfect right now. So, Ken Walker III or Woody Marks. I have Woody Marks as a start for me this week. Seahawks are playing the Rams, notoriously tough defense there. Ken Walker's not looked great. Charbonnet's been kind of eating into that a little bit. They definitely are using him down there when they get him close, a lot more than they are, with Walker. There's really, Marks doesn't have anybody else breathing down his neck the way that Walker does. And that's a good matchup against Tennessee. One of the games that I don't really care to watch at all today, quite frankly. Just look at the fantasy scores later. I don't know, Louie, what do you think?
In my cats and dogs segment on my show on Wednesday, I had Woody Marks as a dog and I had Kenneth Walker as a cat. So like, I think it's Woody Marks pretty easily here for the matchup. He dominated. That was his coming out party, was the last time that he played Tennessee. To your point, I just don't look at Chubb as a real contender to take a lot from him. And not only does Kenneth Walker have Charbonnet right there eating up touchdowns mostly, but also carries and touches. But that's a tough matchup against the Rams. So I would be fading. I did pick Kenneth Walker as my cap, but I would fade both. I think I'd fade in Charbonnet today too.
Yeah, Woody Marks, last time they played Tennessee, he had 27.9 fantasy points, 2 touchdowns. I don't think really anything has changed that's going to cause, a different outcome there. And Tennessee's allowing 141 rushing yards per game this season, which is one of the highest in the league. So great day, at least the way it looks on paper for Houston right now. All right. I'm trying to look, are there any other... Actually, who do you have in that game? Seattle versus Rams.
That's a tough one. Because I was making those type of decisions today in DFS, kind of like, I that was a game that I wanted to be pretty highly invested in the DFS level, and so trying to figure out, a winner obviously is important to that. I'm leaning Seattle, and I think it's going to be a great game. I think it's going to be a pretty big fireworks offensively. But yeah, I really like what Seattle did with Shaheed. I think he has a really good game this week now that he's got a couple weeks into the system. Yeah,
and they didn't need him last week.
Fun. What's
Yeah,
that?
they were up so early last week. They didn't need him because that's
exactly.
what I'm seeing a lot of people like. Oh, well, they didn't use him at all last week. Yeah, because they didn't need to. They didn't need. It's his first week there. They didn't need to use him, so I'm not really concerned about that. I really want to say the Seahawks, but my heart says Rams. Just I think I trust Matt Stafford a little bit more than I trust Sam Darnold right now. I think Devontae Adams is going to play. I'm not really worried about that. Who amongst us at that age hasn't had a little bit of a back issue? So
I legit was hurt for 2 days this week after just doing a jumping lunge. I swear I was at the gym, and it was 5 minutes into my workout, and I was like, well, I guess I'm going home for 2 days. And I had to go to the chiropractor. Adams is going to be fine. He's a beast. He'll be in and good.
Guess I'm going to urgent care. This is why people our age don't need to be jumping, Louie. We no more jumping. I'll work out, I'll do other things, but please don't make me jump. My joints are not made for that at this point.
Just real quick, and then so I could officially say you heard it first from Louie G yesterday, but Keon Coleman is officially inactive. And Elijah Moore, which is that's a little something here. And I know maybe not so much on a fantasy level because that's a deep pull, but that's a little surprising, which means also that Curtis Samuel will be in today, which he hasn't played a lot. So they're going to try to do some different things on offense today. I'm excited to see what it is.
Yeah. Who out there forgot Curtis Samuel was still on the Bills?
Right? It's insane.
Oh, man. Is there a game that you are not looking forward to or you could care less at all? Because mine's Houston, Tennessee.
Yeah, that's definitely probably the number one. But I don't. Why I don't want to say that one is because there's a little bit of intrigue, right? So the intrigue in that game is Cam Ward off of a bye. Did they do something? Are they going to do something different and figure it out? Calvin Ridley back. Does he have anything left? Aomanar and Cam DK were emerging a little bit. What does Ridley coming back do? You got the tight end situation in Tennessee that who do you start each week, Helmer or Chig? So there's a lot there that I think is interesting to figure out. The rookie wide receivers in Houston that, Ryan said this week he's going to start using more. I guess we'll see. Mine would probably be the Panthers Falcons game. I think that's going to be probably more so because I don't have so much outside of Tet involved in that in that game. I have a lot of Drake London, so I shouldn't say that, but I just think that that's going to be one of those uglier, low-scoring games that will probably disappoint us in a lot of ways when it comes to fantasy. They both have pretty decent defenses, so we might see some more modest numbers from those two guys I just mentioned. And man, can we talk about this? Let me get your opinion on this or your thoughts, but Algier is just killing Bijan's ceiling, and it's driving me nuts because he's a good football player. So there's no reason to be so mad about it from our perspective and be that fantasy guy. But there's going, I don't know if you're ever in a situation where you're going to be able to sit Bijan, but you have to consider that you're losing touchdowns here for sure.
Well, it takes away some of his value. And I mean, for a guy that was in certain drafts going the number one overall as that pick. That's really disappointing to see them using that. It's kind of like you can take Arthur Smith out of Atlanta, but you sure can't take the Arthur Smith offense out of the Atlanta,
Yeah,
Falcons, because they
right.
are still giving it to, somebody besides their star. Did you know too? So on the waiver show this week, we had Algier. He's only like 36% rostered across a lot of formats or a lot of different leagues. And I just thought that was insane that Tyler Algier was available in so many different leagues. I mean, most of the leagues we play in, like, hello, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But to only see like a 36% roster percentage was just absolutely blowing my mind with the way they've been using him. It's just crazy. I mean, I think it's one of those things you could probably start both those guys, kind of like a Costco, Gibbs, and Montgomery kind of situation.
I love that. I love that. That's a good referral, but or good reference. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of the thing across the league, right? Like
Yeah.
you can find yourself starting, and this puts us in a whole different conversation. But like that's why I really changed my roster builds. And important, like the people have overdrawn to running back because of the emergence the last 2 years of the running game again, and it becoming a bigger part of the game. It was all passing for 5-7 years, but still, because there's one, a lot of injuries, and two, a lot of two-headed backfields.
Yeah.
I still don't really treat that with the importance that you could. Now, are you missing out on Jonathan Taylor because you think like that? Sure.
Right.
But how many Jonathan Taylors are there? I mean, it's him and James Cook, and that's the only two guys that have that form of Javonte Williams, I guess.
Maybe Jacobs. There's really nobody threatening him back there either. But I won't even put him on the same level as a Taylor or a Cook.
Even since he's gotten banged up, Jacobs, don't they? Hasn't like Emmanuel Wilson taken about 30%? I mean,
a
like
little bit, yeah.
I feel like that's gotten bigger.
Yeah, it's like every once in a while you'll look at the TV and you're like, hey, wait a minute, that's Emmanuel Wilson. But yeah, I think that's a good game for them today, actually, like Jacobs and Wilson, especially with that weather
for sure
against the Giants.
For sure.
I didn't want to. I kept looking through all my start sets today, and I was like, God, all these feel so obvious. I don't want to pick like the obvious ones. Like obviously they're probably going to have a good day just with the matchup, and like I'm not sitting Derrick Henry, although I'm probably going to lower my expectations, and I'm not sitting Lamar, even though it's against Cleveland and they have a good defense. Like just going through those, it might kind of made it a little bit hard to pick like who I was gonna kind of ride with today. I don't know, Louie, who are some of your starts today?
Well, first, while I pull that up, I want to apologize to Morris Teen in the chat, because Schefter just reported that Keon did miss another meeting.
Another one?
And that's why supposedly Schefter's reporting that he was going to start until he missed another meeting Friday. And if that's true, man, like that's it.
You're missing meetings. Like you work 18 weeks out of the year. How are you missing meetings?
I mean, it's the third one in 2 seasons. It just this doesn't fly like with the McDermott quote unquote like culture thing. So I think it's really dead for him. He might not see the field again for the Bills this year. If this happened 2 weeks ago, I bet you they would have traded him for anything they could get him for the off the roster. But I bet you they make him sit. And if there's injuries involved, they'll do that whole sit down and be like, okay, you ready? But you asked for my starts, right?
Yeah.
So starts,
well, actually, hang on real quick before we get there.
Yeah.
We got a question here from Cameron. When he wants to know Darnold or Dak, it's a standard, very basic 4-point touchdown 4-point passing touchdown league. And thanks, Cameron.
That's tough, but I'm going Sam Darnold. I'm betting that's a pretty high scoring game and a back to forth. The only little bit with Dak that scares me is if they get off to a big lead against the Raiders, that might slow down for them. So while they both are probably top 6-7 guys this week for me, I would slightly lean Darnold. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I think I would too, just because that's going to be more of a competitive matchup. The same thing, game script there. Like, there's a great chance that Dallas gets up early, and then they're just kind of running it down, the Vegas, their throats the rest of the game. And you kind of take, Dak and the rest of the pass catchers out of it. So, I mean, obviously, like Dak has had the better season. He's averaging more fantasy points per game and everything than Darnold, even though they're both looking really good this year, both great teams. But just today, Cameron, I think I'd go to Darnold. He had a bad week last week, but I don't think that that's the same. I don't think that happens again this week.
No, and to your point earlier about Shaheed or the Shaheed thing, is just because they got off to such a big lead that it slowed down for him. So, yeah, there is one 6-7. I still don't know what that means. I
I
still
don't
don't know, and I
either.
don't want to. I don't care.
I'm too
My
old.
4-year-old daughter is saying it, and I'm like, "You're not one. You're what? What's going
Where
on?"
are they find what is Miss Rachel doing 6'7"? Like, how does
I
she know
have
about
no
it?
idea, but I was taking a picture of her the other day and I said cheese and she said 6'7" and I go, shut up, stop being dumb. You're 4.
No.
Um, but we just talked about Dak. You asked me some starts.
Yeah.
One of the guys that I have that's my top start at wide receiver is Trey Tucker. The Cowboys have really done bad against wide receiver 1. So I think that's a big thing. I also am very sad to say that this is another reason, but the Bowers thing is real. I don't like it. We talked about Bijan earlier, and this is kind of the same thing with Bowers. Is we take these guys so early that we feel inclined to start them every week because of the investment we have in them. And I'm telling you, there's probably 12 guys I'd start over Bowers this week. And that scares me a little bit because he does have that 3 touchdown ability. But Tucker is the guy that I think on that Raiders offense I see having the biggest game. So I like that a lot. I like JJ McCarthy. We haven't even talked about that game, but I like JJ McCarthy a lot this week. I don't understand the hate there. And I know I'm one that was
5
on
games,
this.
not even. Yeah.
I know I on this podcast said that Carson Wentz was going to take over for him and never give the job back. But he has looked good-ish in those 5 games, and there is a quarterback guru at the head coach position, and he's got a great matchup this week. So I do like JJ McCarthy a lot. Tucker. We talked about Woody Marks, who's on there.
Yep.
We talked about Gabe Davis, who was one of my starts, and then I think Mark Andrews eats this week. It's going to be a tough matchup. More win there in Cleveland, but no Rashad Bateman. Flowers hasn't been great. Cleveland's not the best against tight ends. I think you're going to see kind of short. Lamar doesn't have the type of arm to be whipping it all around in a windy thing. So I think you're going to see short patterns by Andrews. I think he does really, really well.
So if you had to take this came up in one of my group chats. I've got a league with Sean Green and my buddy Jim, and so Fannin or Andrews today.
So tough, but it's Andrews for me because I think Andrews is like a top 5 tight end, if not even higher for me today. Fannon's there and high, but I think once you start getting to, I think each week there's like 5 guys either due to matchup ability, like whatever, that you're like, all right, these guys are smashes at the tight end position. And then I think everybody else usually is like, we'll see, because it's so up and down with the tight end position that a guy could be tight end one week and then he's tight end, 25 the next week. So I don't want to take that chance with Fannin, with Njoku there. Bad matchup. Worst quarterback. Give me Andrews all day there.
Brittany wants to know real quick, and then I'll tell you my starts for this week. She wants to know, who are we sitting between Geno, Baker, and Goff? I think it's Baker for me. Geno's been terrible, but holy cow, what a great matchup against Dallas, giving up like the most fantasy points to opposing QBs. I don't love it, but and then Goff is going into Philly. I don't love that either, really, but I'm not.
All three of them are rough starts. Geno scares me because, and maybe I'm wrong because, man, I thought last week would have been the week or 2 weeks ago. I just think he's on the verge of losing his job.
There's
And
something going on with him. Like it's
I'm
just
like, I'm a Kenny Pickett believer and truther. So like I've been kind of like waiting for that moment. And then last week they're throwing him back out there with a sprained ankle instead of just giving Penny. Like it wasn't like he was tearing it up and then sprained his ankle and they put him in. He had 3 points or whatever and they put him in. So I'm a little bit leery of Gino. He's got a great matchup. If it doesn't happen today for him, it doesn't happen at all. I'd sit Goff, I think. I really don't love that matchup for Goff this week.
Yeah. I don't either. And historically he his numbers dip when he's on the road and there's no worse place to play on the road than Philly. So that's not great. Not great at all. Brittany, I hope that helped. Cam also has JSN, so it's nice to have that stat going. Absolutely. You are very welcome. Thanks for hanging out. All right, here's some of mine today. I got 2 from the Giants for you. First is Wan'Dale Robinson, and man, I get it. It's Wan'Dale, right? But maybe you're in that situation, injuries, whatever. He's had 38 targets over the last 4 games, 11 in the last 2. With Jameis, you just gotta love, he's gonna air it out. The volume alone, I think, makes him a start for me. It's just too much fun to leave any of your Giants on the bench today, which brings me to Theo Johnson. If you maybe you lost Sam Laporta, maybe you've had some injury issues at tight end, right? He's been super consistent this season, 11 fantasy points, 14 over the last 2 games. In the last 3, he's seeing a 19.4% target share. Now, obviously, right, Jameis, comes in. We don't have any numbers with him with Jameis, so, who knows? But also something to kind of take into account too, the Giants did have little Jordan Humphrey on their practice squad. Denver came in and snatched him at the last moment. So I don't know what the heck is going on in New York there, why they can't, they know they're missing neighbors. They know they're having issues. Like, why can't we, keep somebody, who probably should be starting this week for them? But who knows? And the Green Bay rush defense is just one of the best in the leagues, the 6th fewest fantasy points to opposing running backs. So I think it is going to be a weird game, though, with that weather. But I don't think it's going to be a great Tyrone Tracy game either. So they're going to have to do something to put points on the board.
Yeah, they're going to throw often, and it's going to be ugly at times, but it's probably going to have yards. Listen, I have been reading a lot about women. I've been doing the studying thing, and I've learned, I think validation is important, right?
Yeah.
And so let me validate to you, Theo Johnson is not just an injury replacement. That dude is like, I think he's a top 10 guy. I think he's a tight end 1 the rest of the way.
Oh, yeah.
I would be more excited about him than some of these guys that are, people are excited about, like Brock Wright and Luke Musgrave taking over like really big tight end roles from previous injuries. I think Theo is the guy there right now. And if Winston hangs out as the starter at all there, he could be amazing.
Oh, yeah. Just like going back, looking at his numbers. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 top 12 finishes in fantasy this year. So you love to see that. I also really like Michael Wilson today. Marvin Harrison had that appendicitis. He had that surgery. So he's out. I think obviously we're going to run it through Trey McBride, as they should. But you're going to have somebody else out there. And with Brissett over the last 3 weeks, Wilson's target share has jumped from 11.9% all the way up to 14.5%. San Francisco giving up the 7th most passing touchdowns also this season makes it a great matchup for him. We already talked about Woody Marks, somebody that I like this week. I also really like the tight end position for Pittsburgh. They're playing Cincinnati. We had Drew Davenport on a few weeks ago who talked about how the fantasy points per, against the tight end position is usually just kind of like a fake number. But Cincinnati's is so far beyond anybody else. I think it's 23 points per game to opposing teams' tight ends. And it's Arthur Smith. It's just a perfect storm there. What game was it a few weeks ago where all 3 got in the end zone?
Was that Cincinnati?
It might. Oh, hang on.
I think it was the Thursday night. I think it was Cincinnati again.
Yeah. So
because I think it was a Thursday night game. So yeah, you're right.
Love it.
I totally agree with everything you said. I think you could probably play both Freiermuth and Shonu. I will agree with Drew Davenport a little bit in the sense of it's kind of tougher to read those things because of what we just talked about, where the outside the top 5-6 guys, there's just so much up and down with tight end production. So I don't think it's so much what the defenses are doing as it is the offenses are back and forth on how they use the tight end. But it's a good tool, and exactly what you said. I mean, since he's like just by far the worst, I think you could start both of those tight ends. I'm probably Jonnu over Freiermuth personally.
What about Darnell Washington? How dare you just forget about big Darnell Washington out there, number 80? Come on.
Listen, I love the player. I'm embarrassed to tell you how many Dynasty shares I still have of him, because I was a believer for sure.
Are we the two like founding members of the Darnell Washington fan club? Because we might be.
If you give me a big athletic tight end with that's it. You just need to tell me he's large and fast. I'm like, he could learn how to play the position. He'll
11-inch hands. Louie, his hands are like the size of a sheet of paper. It's insane. Of paper. That's nuts. I'll stop. The Bengals, 23.5 points per game to opposing teams' tight ends. The next closest is Jacksonville at 19. So not even really close at all. We got a question from Alex here that I want to get to before we hit our sits real quick. And then we are going to get you guys out of here and ready to get your lineups finalized for the day. Alex wants to know, kind of considering starting Wan'Dale over T. Higgins for his safe floor, is this dumb? Full point PPR. I don't think it's dumb. Sometimes I think like towards the end of the season, you can get like stuck in the, am I being too cute, with my starts and everything. But I think this is a legit question, we already talked about the weather issue going on in Pittsburgh with Cincinnati today. I mean, we're still going to have some weather in New York, but Wan'Dale doesn't have to fight Jamar Chase for targets either. So I don't hate it. I don't hate it at all. I mean, like, Louie, I don't know. What do you think? Are you?
I'm 100%. I'm 100% for it. We've talked about kind of a lot of the reasons why so far on the podcast, but I'm worried about Flacco, even though that over under is high and those wins. Mm-hmm. Winston's got to be whipping the ball around. It should be a positive game script for them to keep throwing. And so, Wan'Dale should, and it is interesting that I will say this. I wonder how Winston is going to use Wan'Dale, because that's not exactly his type of wide receiver. But I still think he will end up with a Wan'Dale game just on receptions alone. So I think I would go Wan'Dale.
Yeah, Alex, feel free to start Wan'Dale. If it doesn't work out for you, I'm so sorry, but I feel good about that. I feel like that's a good call. Lauren wants to know, are the Packers turning it around today? Last week was rough. Lauren is a Philly fan, as the Go Birds over here. So yeah, I don't want to remember that Monday night game. That was one of the worst games, not even just Packers, it was one of the worst games I ever had to like force myself to watch. It's like, what is that meme with like Joe Pesci where they're like, all the guys are holding him and he's like prying his eyes open? Like, that's what I felt like having to watch that game. Lauren, I don't know, man. Like, I feel like every other week this should be a, check in the win column, but dude, I don't like it against Jameis. I'm getting bad vibes. I don't like it.
I think that they're going to be fine, but they have a Buffalo Bills problem. We're both both of our teams have similar problems. I think they have it to a lesser degree, but the pass catchers are. I don't think they're as good as the national level, and I know you're a bigger fan. I won't say but I don't think Dubs and Watson and I just don't think they're as good as people want to give them credit for. And I think it's very similar to what we're dealing with here in Buffalo. They're just kind of above average players, and they're missing Jaden Reed and definitely Kraft.
Yeah. Well, God, it's been weeks now. I still can't even discuss Tucker Kraft without getting emotional. But yeah, I mean, we have no answer to what he
mostly because of how much it cost you financially.
Mostly because I'm never going to financially recover from this. Like the Tiger King thing. But also, I love my little tuck. Damn it. Anyway, we don't have an answer for that, and it's not Luke Musgrave. So we also don't have Matthew Golden has not been great anyway, but he's not doing well. He's banged up. Romeo Dub's banged up. Jaden Reed. We should get Jaden Reed back in a couple weeks. Hopefully with that, but that ain't gonna help us today. So I don't know. Dontavian Wicks, step it up. That's all I got to say about that. Louie, who are some of your sits for today?
Let's see. Trying to remember. I'm sorry off the top of my head, but I will go through it. Bo Nix for like the third week in a row. We mentioned that game earlier, but I've really soured on Nix, and even on like win now teams in Dynasty, I'm seeing if I can get out of him like to a rebuild team that still wants to take advantage of quote unquote his youth, even though he's 47. But
I refer to him as Boomer Bo the year he got drafted. It's stuck in my brain.
Third year, and somehow he's older than me, but whatever. I hate this matchup. We talked about the Seattle backfield, both KW3 and Sharp. I'm off of. I wanted to kind of be ballsy and say Rashee Rice because of the points that we've made about that game. I'm going to go Xavier Worthy and be a little bit more safe, but I think he has a rough game. And then I mentioned him earlier. I'm not going to say sit him because it's tough, right? But Brock Bowers, I don't think you could expect a top 10 finish from him right now. I think it's tough.
No, and you know what, though? If you have Brock Bowers, you've been finding something else for the last several weeks, like you've been finding somebody else to put in that spot. So maybe you hit on a Theo Johnson, maybe you hit on a Dalton Schultz, who, like is actually putting up numbers on a consistent basis. I mean, I wouldn't hate starting one of those guys over Bowers today.
Yep. 100%.
Mine, obviously, I had Bo Nix as well. He hasn't cracked 200 passing yards in like the last 2 weeks, so I don't like anything about that matchup at all. He's 29th in yards per attempt this season at 6.1. Do you want to know who the only quarterbacks with lower numbers than him are right now?
Oh, tell me.
Kyler, Cam, Bryce Young, and Gabriel Dillon. Oof. That's not great. Yeah, not great company to be in right now. Especially one of them who's like lost his starting job so far with a soft benching. I got Trevor Lawrence is my number one today. A lot of quarterbacks on my list, but I found this in the Fantasy Points data suite, which is a phenomenal tool. If you guys have that, if you guys are out there, that's a great resource. It's 0.31 expected fantasy points per dropback projected for T-Law this week. They are allowing the 5th fewest passing yards per game, the Chargers, 174. And Trevor's only averaging like 220 passing yards per game this season, which is not great. 20 completions, only 1 passing touchdown. That's his average per game. And so, I mean, you don't like that at all. Plus, Brian Thomas not playing, not that he's honestly been worth starting anyway, but he's not there. So that's such an icky situation there for Jacksonville. And I had lower expectations for Derrick Henry today. I mean, it's Derrick Henry, so you're always going to start Derrick Henry, but like, come on. I mean, the Browns are tied for first and lowest yards per rush attempt at 3.6, 10th fewest total rushing yards overall. I think we've talked about this a lot today. It just feels like a really gross kind of game.
I sat him somewhere, and I'm trying to think for who. I think it was for Juwan Jennings. Okay. And so like in a PPR league in a flex position, and because I had 2 even stronger running backs than him. Yeah. I'm on board with you. Keaton Mitchell's starting to get a little bit hot there, and there's got to at least be a little bit of part of them if they're seeing this decline in Henry to try to save whatever he does have left for playoffs. So
yeah. Absolutely. Mauristine wants to know real quick, would we trade Bijan for Rice in a 3 wide receiver, 2 flex redraft league? I think I would need something else.
I think that's light as much as I made those points earlier about changing your expectations on Bijan. Will he always have Algier behind? Oh, it's a redraft league.
And
it's a redraft league. In the Dynasty, I think different. Now I always look at things as a Dynasty a lens.
Same.
As a redraft.
I don't really trade in any of my redrafts.
I know I don't have a lot of it either. Yeah, I think I might
Yeah,
pull the trigger.
in
I mean,
redraft, and that's the difference.
it all depends on, what your roster build looks like. But if you're pretty strong at running back behind him, I think I do
Mhm.
it.
Yeah, yeah, in redraft, I think that's the difference. If you want a dynasty, I mean, you didn't ask about dynasty, Morrisine, but I think Louis, should we give them a dynasty answer? I think I would want something in addition
Yes.
to that, but
Yeah.
I would that wouldn't keep me from making the trade. I think I would do it. Just I would need a little like a pick or something as well.
Yeah, I think in a redraft that might be there because I think Rice is probably a top 10 guy rest of the year, and not that Bijan isn't, but with the 3 wide receiver thing, yeah, I think that's good.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, it is noon. We have got Maddox is waiting. He's been waiting. He's fallen asleep actually over here, waiting to give you his Monday Night Football pick. Let me get that queued up and ready to go. We
Where's
got
he at? Where's
Billy.
his record? Is
Right,
he
so
bouncing back?
he's got 3 right so far. Yay!
Okay, he's
He
bouncing
actually
back.
picked the Cardinals over Dallas the last time. We didn't do one last week because we were out last week, so we didn't do a pick. But he got the Cardinals right. And when he did it, I was kind of like, oh, I don't know, buddy. I think we're gonna be another in the L column, but he knew just somehow, right? So
Personal growth.
here's his pick for Vegas versus Dallas. I had to set those back up because he came over. It took me forever to even get him interested in I set him up, and normally he's like, I can't hold him back, and he just kept looking at it like, oh, I don't really care. And I feel like that kind of is how we're all going to be on Monday night. We're gonna be like, whatever.
It's gonna
But
be a
he
team
went over and
sweep.
sniffed them, and then he didn't even pick one. He just walked away. It's like, all right. I was like, okay. And I don't put treats in them. I swear everybody thinks I put treats in them. I don't. He's very toy motivated.
Yeah, I wouldn't put that claim out there either if he only had 3 wins. We'll see. We'll see. I don't know if I totally buy it, but we'll have to. You look trustworthy.
I'll have to do behind the scenes one day of everybody another one recording me trying to coax him over to actually go get it. Oh my gosh. Guys, that is going to do it for us today at the Sunday Tailgate. Louie again, Louie G from Analytics are for the Nerds. Louie, tell everybody where they can find you and find your content and what days you guys go live, when they can log in and catch a stream.
Yeah, so you can find me at @FF_Louie G, and then the podcast Analytics are for the Nerds at no nerds_FF. We record normally on Wednesday nights. Sometimes that changes based off the schedule, but yeah, got that. And I think I'm back in the chair with you next week.
Next week, yeah. Absolutely. Guys, again, thanks to everybody who's watching. Louie, again, thank you so much. And we will see you next week. Good luck, everybody.